Hi, I'm Coach Mia, founder of Official Women of Culture 365. Welcome to Caribbean Straight Talk with real conversations and great interviews. And now, here are your hosts.
And we are back right here on Caribbean Street Talk. My name is Lima Dunbar. Our co-host, Mr. George Boussoul, is on assignment. So again, that leaves me, and that's okay because we got to do what we got to do. This is election time. This is the cycle where y'all need to get out and vote. And if you haven't voted already, well, you have until 7 o'clock today. If not, remember Tuesday is the granddaddy. Get on out and vote. Do what you need to do. Our guest is Mr. Ali Braswell, and he is running for Florida Representative District, Florida House District 45. I want to make sure I get it all correct. So without further ado, let's bring Mr. Ali Braswell on and we'll have our conversation. Hi, Ali, how you doing?
I'm good, Lima. How are you? Thanks for
I'm
having
doing
me on the show.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And by the way, thank you for being on the People's Chat Room last Saturday. Now, this is something new. This is Caribbean Street Talk, where we have a much more detailed conversation about your campaign, the state of Florida, where we're going, your thoughts on certain key points. So let's jump on in. Let's talk about your campaign. Talk to us about your campaign.
So we've got a campaign that's been going on since March 18th, and really I have started off just being the common sense candidate. I'm a moderate Democrat that's running to bring people together, but my campaign tag was stolen kind of by my opponent when she finished her primary and needed to change to be more midstream. So really, I am the unity candidate. I am the candidate that's going to Tallahassee to bring people together and help them to move forward. So
Hold a second. Hold a second. So your competition, she stole your. She did.
she did. Honestly, she put it on a sign. When I announced on March 18th that I was running, I said that I was the common sense candidate going to Tallahassee to get rid of nonsense. When she rebranded from being Carolina to Carolina, she changed her tone and her timbre and her accent to be more southern, and then she was the common sense candidate. But before that, she was far out right extremely.
I am so not here to bash the MAGA people, but I gotta say this is typical. There's their mood. This is the way they've been dropping it. They start saying one thing, and then when they realize, okay, we're ready for prime time, then they start trying to become much more friendly in their approach. But it's all about you today, Ali. So let's continue with this. Continue telling us more about your campaign, please.
So really, I'm one that rare unicorn. I'm a native born Central Floridian, Marine Corps veteran, served 12 and a half years in the Marine Corps, and have been serving for over 20 years in this community. My late wife and I just giving back to this community, wanting to make a difference. And I thought no better way to pay homage to my wife's memory and to this incredible mosaic that makes up this district than to run and have somebody that's going to take a common sense uh, approach to bringing people together. And I've done that by building bridges across this region, across the nation, actually, to help us be able to move things ahead. So I'm running as a Democrat because that's where I believe that pays attention to people. And people are important to me. That's one of the reasons that, my political committee is called People Helping People, because it really is about helping us all move ahead at the same time.
Okay, I think I should have asked this question first, but I'll ask it now. Exactly what is the boundary for District 45,
So the
please?
boundaries for District 45, if you're over in the West Orange area, it starts in Oakland, it comes down 50, and it encompasses Winter Garden, Ocoee over to Health Central Hospital. It turns right there and goes down a Popcom Island and takes in Gotha, Windermere, Lake Buena Vista, parts of Bay Hill Country Club, Dr. Phillips. It goes down and has all of Disney within the district and the Reedy
Okay.
Creek Improvement District. And then it goes down into Osceola County and picks up Celebration and turns and goes up 192, picks up a portion of Davenport all the way up to the Four Corners, and then comes back into Winter Garden and all of the new development
Okay.
of what they call Hamlin and Horizons West. So it's a huge district that
Mhm.
encompasses a lot of people and a lot of different backgrounds. And the key thing is having a representative that can talk to and be in touch with all of those different people that make up this beautiful mosaic rather than just be siloed in one direction. So my background and experience plays very well for this district of having brought people together from all over the globe to help move us ahead.
See, you've got, using your term, mosaic of different cultures, different backgrounds, different everything. But let me ask you this question. As a candidate for the Florida House, you're going into the Lions Den. You're going into the Florida legislature where we have more Republicans than anything else. That's why I would say we're in the hot mess that we're in with regards to house insurance, rent, everything that is happening right now that we shouldn't be in this mess. That's what's happening. And that's the den that you're going into. How do you feel about that? Because this is a big deal here, Ali.
Well, you know what? As a Marine, I'm not afraid to go into the heat of the battle. And I think we got to have someone who can go in and articulate and represent people, because you nailed it. Property insurance is way too high. And then we don't even have the confidence that the insurance company we have is going to be there when we need them most, even though they're collecting our premium every month. You know, affordability is a major issue. It's not about just being in what they like to say, the neighborhoods or the hood. It's about affordable housing being an issue all across this state, whether you are a newly graduated student that just got married and you can't find a home to live with, or you're a nurse working at one of our local hospitals and you can't find affordable housing within a close commute to your office. You know, we got to be able to do that, and we can't just place it in districts where we think affordable housing should be built. Affordable housing needs to be everywhere. We do that by having a champion who can say, leave the Sadowski Fund alone. The Sadowski funds are funded by the dollars that we pay through our document stamps when we buy and sell our homes, that goes into create this ability to make housing affordable. But every year, the Republican base has raided that Sadowski Fund to balance the budget.
Okay, time out. I've never heard about this fund before. Okay, so I'm first time, this is education to me. Never heard about this fund before. One of the things that stands out in my mind is just before hurricane season started, so I think just about June, is when over 12,000 homeowners were dropped from their various, I shouldn't say their various insurance companies, because there's not a whole lot of them out there. So how does this fund operate that the Republicans have been tapping into? And I'm getting kind of upset here, but go ahead. How does this fund operate?
So let me see if I can help. So the Sadowski Fund is totally around housing and making affordable housing accessible. It was created by a legislative team years ago, and the dollars that were created during the settling of your home through the document stamps and that process actually helped to fund this. And this is the fund that has grown to over billions of dollars. And what happens is that in order to balance the budget, the Republican legislature has moved to take funds out of that to balance their budget. And what I'm saying is leave the Sadowski Fund alone and use it to help create affordable housing. When I was at the Urban League, one of the programs we ran was a program that allowed for people to go in for first-time home buyers assistance and then get up to $20,000, $25,000 down payment assistance through their local county governments. Those dollars to fund that down payment assistance comes out of Sadowski Fund. Well, now that we have an affordability issue, we could look at using those same dollars to incent developers to build more affordable housing. Because the way that we're going to overcome the affordable housing crisis is to have more affordable housing available. Not just to continue to build luxury homes that then are overpriced and out of range that most Floridians can't afford right now.
Can't afford. So here's where my mind started going as soon as you started talking about that fund, the fund that starts with an S. Here's where my mind started going. Not too long ago, the governor picked a fight with Disney. All right. He picked a fight. He started something that wasn't even bubbling. He picked a fight with Disney. And now it's breaking down to where maybe some taxpayers in Orange County will have to subsidize the mess that DeSantis started. Is that really what it is?
So, you know,
and how can you, being a part of the Florida legislature, help clamp down on that?
So here's what the governor did was take a political attack against a company. And we should all be concerned about that. Every business, small and large business, should be concerned. If you attack the largest employer in the state because it's standing up for its people, then who is actually safe when we have a governor who thinks he's an autocrat. And if you don't go along with me, then I'm going to attack you. The Reedy Creek Improvement District is a special district that was designed over 60 years ago to allow the entity known as Walt Disney World to be able to tax itself so it could do road improvements and building improvements and expedite permitting in order to do the things that they do on that property. But it's not only Walt Disney World that is impacted by it, it's the hoteliers as well. Everyone over there in that district, a district that provides free access to hospitals if you, instead of charging you $1,000 getting an ambulance, or employs firefighters and emergency technicians that are skilled and trained, it impacts more than just Disney. But so then to come in and say we're going to destatus it as a political stunt to incite your base to vote, it's just not what we need in terms of leadership. And so to your question, how does it impact? Well, if they do put it in place, and that's a big if, in June of 2023, it could potentially shift billions of dollars towards having to be paid for by the debt that is encompassed by the Reedy Creek Improvement District has to then be settled. And that could have tax implications to Osceola and Orange County residents up to about $160 million a year. So okay. The key thing is leave it alone. It wasn't broke. Stop using it.
Don't start nothing, there'll be nothing, right?
Exactly. You know, the governor decided to take this on because he stood up for people who happen to be a member of the LGBTQ plus community.
We gotta take a break. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we will have, talk some more about this. And I don't know if you saw the expression on my face. I'm getting more and more upset as we go along. But we'll take a break. And
my goal is not to upset you, but to educate. So we'll talk more after the break.
Okay, Ali. Zep Bolai Lawrence, realtor and property stager with a lake known as the Fuchsia Lay Realty Group. You can give her a call at 321-689-3467. Send a fax at 321-445-6054. Email zepbl9@gmail.com. Once again, Zep Bolai Lawrence for all your realtor and property staging needs. And we are back. So, Ali, I know that home insurance and rental properties and all of that, not rental properties, but the cost of rent and all of that is not the only thing that you're going to be tackling when you get to Tallahassee. So tell us what else you're going to be tackling when you get to Tallahassee. And I got to remind you, we will keep you accountable.
I'm sure you will. If I may, let me go back though, because we talked about affordable housing, but you asked a question about property insurance. Two separate issues. The Sadowski Fund is totally around affordable housing. On the property insurance side, we have to do a better job than just put money into the reinsurance fund. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of the insurance companies that come into the state are not well financed, or they don't have the asset base. So they use reinsurance to transfer their claims to if they don't have enough assets to cover it. So that's why they put funds into the reinsurance program. We need to restructure that reinsurance program, that if a foreign insurance company, meaning an insurance company outside of the state of Florida, comes into Florida and says they want to participate, they need to also be held accountable like you're going to hold me accountable to staying in the state during the hard times. You can't just come in and use it, take the premiums from the clients, and then disappear before a storm comes, just like several of them did before Hurricane Ian. So that's some of the things that, you got to be educated on this in order to have an intelligent conversation. Now, the challenge is, as you said, I'm going into the lion's den, but just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I'm going in there with God on my side and want to fight and meet people in the middle, because you know what? I don't think every Republican is bad. I think you got some far right, just like we got some far left. But I want to find some moderate Republicans that said we need to solve this thing because it's not helping the state of Florida. It's not helping the average Floridian who's counting us to get the work done. So, you know, I'm not going to run away from a fight. I know it's going to be a challenge, and I'm not going to overpromise and underdeliver. What I'm going to promise you is I'm going to go in there and have that conversation, and we're going to have fact-based conversations, and I'm going to push for legislation that helps Floridians, not helps just big companies and others that may not have our best interest in mind.
Well, I like where we go.
I like the question.
You sure did. You sure did. And let me throw something else at you. As a clinician, I've been a clinical therapist now for over 10 years. And one of the things that we found since Rick Scott was the governor, he took away a lot of resources that would help with indigent people cleaning their homes or helping mothers with delinquent children or children that needed help getting them back on the street and narrow. So a lot of our resources were taken away from us. Is this something that you are prepared to, or you have on your list of your to-do list to address when you get in there? Because Floridians are really suffering as far as if you earn, let's say, maybe 30,000 or less per year, a lot of them are suffering. How are you going in there, getting ready to pull up your sleeves and help with that population?
Well, you know, I think some of our most underserved communities are why one of the reasons that my wife and I volunteered for over 20 years and I ran the Urban League was making sure that, you know, when we talk about equity, that includes everybody. Everyone has a seat at the table. You know, and that's what worries me about the current Republican legislature and their desire to have a supermajority, is that they're looking only to listen to and take care of the affluent. We have to take care of everyone. If you're coming to this nation, that, you know, the Statue of Liberty still stands in the harbor in New York and says, bring us your huddled masses, bring us your poor, your downtrodden, and let my lantern light the way to the golden door of freedom. Freedom has to include everybody. Our governor likes to talk about Florida being free, but freedom has to include everybody. And I remember that we got to get people to a livable wage, because see, when I got livable wage, I can afford to take care of my home. I can afford to take care of my family. And so, you know, we've had in Orange County, for example, the mayor asked for a minimum wage of $15. But, you know, I just stood with Local 737 Union, and when we're seeing a recovery in the hospitality industry so large, I stood with them and said, we're asking that you also take their wages up so that they can afford to live above the standard that is set as the baseline. So, you know, to answer your question, we got to get fair and equitable wages into those communities. You know, it's hard to live on $30,000. I see people having to double team up, and single moms having to share with people they just met in an employee orientation so they can make ends meet. When I was at the Expressway Authority, we did a salary study, and we were able to raise wages at the Expressway Authority for the contract that I run, so that I didn't have to have single moms struggling at below the poverty line and still being, you know, what they call the employed poor. We got to do a better job. We got to make sure we provide resources. You know, when we look at things that we can draw down from the federal government, we shouldn't turn a deaf ear because of politics. We need to turn an open ear and take on the resources that can help us take care of everybody in the state of Florida. Because I believe a rising tide should float all boats. But if you don't have a boat, it's kind of hard to be floated.
Oh, yeah, it is. Now, let me go into a topic that is, I wouldn't say it's near and dear to me, but it's of interest to me because I am a woman. Okay. And right now, 15 weeks, within that 15 weeks is when a woman has the opportunity to have an abortion. Okay. Most women do not know they're pregnant until after 15 weeks. So that 15-week time period is null and void for some people. Is this something that you're prepared to take on when you go into the den?
Most definitely. You know, I'm a pro-choice candidate. Let me be very clear. I believe that women should have the right to reproductive freedom and reproductive health care, and the government shouldn't regulate that. There was nothing wrong. Again, this was a DeSantis and a Republican legislature. Another way of exciting the base, now this base being the Moms Liberty, They've had them twice now. The key thing here is that should be between a woman, her faith, and her doctor to make that decision.
Hallelujah.
We shouldn't be even entering into that. It wasn't broke before when it was 24 weeks. There was no reason to change this other than to appease audiences, to help the governor get reelected, and to help Republicans push their agenda of taking over and having a supermajority. I'm prepared to present legislation, and if we elect Governor Crist or Charlie Crist as governor, he has already stated that within the first few days of his administration, he would issue an executive order making this null and void. But this is why we got to vote the entire ballot, folks, because here's another issue. Had Attorney General Bundy actually done what her job is, she could have stopped this for women. So because the Attorney General didn't have to enforce it. But when you don't have those checks and balance and you have a cabinet that is all one party, that falls lockstep an autocrat who wants to dictate how we live, that's the danger of not voting and not having your voice heard and not having another voice in the chamber. See, if you only have Republicans, we're only going to march in one direction. I was taught in the Marine Corps, it was healthy to question. Once the play is called, we must execute, but it was always healthy to question. And then it was my responsibility as a Marine non-commissioned officer to do what was right and follow only legal orders. And I think that's the same thing when you have a legislator that goes into office. We need to be the pulse of the people. We need to hear from the people. And this is one I've heard loudly from women, even after Roe versus Wade was reversed. Leave our reproductive freedom alone. Give us the right to be able to control our own bodies and receive the right type of reproductive health care. And then, there's another way that they could have approached this, is we should draw down the funds from the federal government and make our Medicaid and Medicare more robust, rather than Senator Scott talking about doing away with Social Security. We need to take the funds that are available to take care of every citizen in Florida, not just the social elite or the elite who say yes to Governor DeSantis and the rest of the Republican Party.
Val Branch Duncan, Realtor with North Star First Properties. Whether it's buying or selling, Val can help, and she is certified to assist you in Jamaica, Grenada, Guyana, Barbados, Bahamas, and Trinidad and Tobago. Please call Val Branch Duncan, where V stands for valuable, A, attentive, L, loyal. Please give her a call at 321-303-9345 or 407-844-8622.
Women of Culture 365 presents Glow, a greater level of wellness, with your host, Coach Mia Ullman, founder of Women of Culture 365 and Glow. Along with me are my co-host, Coach Sophie G, bringing you words of wisdom. Coach Dawn Hewitt shows how to treat the whole body. And Coach Lady Q, bringing you spiritual wellness. Join us as we go Facebook Live at Glow 365 TV show and on YouTube at Official Women of Culture, culture spelled with a K, every second Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as we talk about the mind, body, and soul. A conversation you do not want to miss. Also, visit us online at womenofculture.com.
And we are back right here on Caribbean Straight Talk with our guest, Mr. Ali Braswell. And Ali is he's the winner. I'm calling it into existence. Maybe I shouldn't be so presumptive, but I can't help myself.
That, but we still got a lot of hard work, but I receive it.
Mr. Ali Braswell. So let's go back and have this conversation. I'll finish up our conversation with Ali. Ali, I need to hear your thoughts on Social Security, 1. I need to hear your thoughts on the economy, 2. These are the 2 things that the Republicans continue to push false narratives on. We are not in a recession, right?
We are not in a recession. I think the president has done a good job, along with other members of Congress, to try to put things in place. And on Social Security, we've been told that if the Republicans win the Senate and the House, they're going to immediately move by our own state senator, Senator Rick Scott, to dissolve Social Security. How do you take away a system that so many people depend upon, that they have paid into for years. I know I have. I'm looking forward to receiving that once I hit retirement age, and
I
I
want my
and I
money.
go on that as a part of my retirement plan. So
Hmm.
when you're talking about you're protecting seniors, how do you protect seniors? And you're talking about abolishing the very plan that many have paid into for years. So I'm a proponent of leave it alone. Again, this is the strategy of the Republicans. We go out and start to attack things that don't need to be fixed. As for the economy, everything is having its challenge. But I would also challenge the Republicans in this state when we've gone from being one of the most affordable states in the last 10 months to now being the most expensive state to live in. So when we're
True.
talking about a robust economy, maybe we don't need such a surplus. I think that's where I would look to how do we take the dollars that are in surplus? We don't have to spend them down, but how do we use them to take care of Floridians in our state? And
Yeah.
that's where I think our economy has been robust. But I saw games being played with price gouging and price challenges and,
Hmm.
and the timing politically of when to do the gas tax reduction in the state. We need to find people that are looking for the best for everyone and make sure that our economy is stable and make sure our economy allows for everybody to access it. And that's where I think it's going to require local and state officials to work together. And one of the things you said earlier is you got to vote the whole ballot. And that's how this comes back to why voting is important.
Voting is important.
Don't
So
just vote
we're
to
gonna
accept.
talk about we're gonna talk about you connecting those dots. But before we do that, I just gotta say this. Historically, what we've had is a flourishing economy, not just an economy, a flourishing America under Democrats, whether it's a Democratic president or whatever. And as soon as the Republicans get in, they trash it. Look at history. I mean, between Bush, Clinton, Obama, Trump, Biden, every time the Republicans trash the economy, trash America, you got to bring back in the Democrats to try and fix things. And it's time for that to stop. People need to be more aware. So let's bring it to my last question.
Sure.
Well, not really a question. Yeah, a question. Help our listeners connect the dots of voting to their real lives, because a lot of times you get this from them. They are not registered to vote because they don't think it's worth it. Two, I didn't vote because what use is it? Help them connect voting to their real life and their issues that's going on in their lives. Ali, here's
Yeah.
the problem that I've found, okay? That when I talk to random people and I ask, okay, and I remember specifically an event recently with Maxwell Frost where I went to help. And there were some young people that were in the streets, and I was asking them, are you registered to vote? And they candidly said, no. And obviously, I got upset on the inside, but I didn't say anything, all right? But how do you help people? No, 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 not how. Help people connect voting, the importance of voting to their daily lives, because I don't think they can see how important it is.
Well, Lima, that's a great question. And the key here is that voting is the very fabric of what this nation is about, having your voice heard. It allows you to exercise your First Amendment right in selecting the leaders that will lead the country. And that's the way that we have to have it in order for us to maintain this democracy. The late congressman from Georgia, John Robert Lewis, said, our democracy is fragile. And if we don't exercise our right to vote, we'll lose it. And the key to here is this is your one opportunity to be able to have your voice heard. And in so many other countries, people don't have that voice. We can't afford to get voter apathy, stay at home, and think it is not important. You have to remember this governor was decided with less than 33,000 votes, less than a half of a percent. You have to remember that there are legislators that have been picked and selected, even county commissioners that are only in the race because of one vote. So if one vote can put two people in the race for County Commission District 6, one vote can change the way and the outcomes that are going on. If it wasn't this important, do you think people would be trying to change it and elect people who are election deniers and people who are trying to move in and run our supervisor of elections office who are in alignment with the former president? It's very important. The only way that we get our voice heard is by going out on election time and voting. Vote early, vote by mail. They're trying to take away vote by mail and the ability for you even to drop your ballot. they say use a paper ballot. Folks, we use a paper ballot. We just use a machine to count it. So please go out and vote. Many people lost their lives in this country. Women and people of color, our voting rights are not permanent. They had to be ratified by Congress. So if you don't have the people in Congress that thinks your vote is important because you didn't vote them in, you could very well have a group of elected officials that don't think your vote is important and could choose not to ratify it. So that's why we need to vote.
Wow. I'm listening to you. Everything that you just said, I've heard it before, but listening to you say it again, kind of like it's resonating in my mind. And I'm like, how could people not vote? I mean, every year we say, you got to get out and vote. It's really important. It's really important. But I really don't think people connect the dots. And then when we've lost certain rights, like how we lost the reverse Roe versus Wade, is when everybody started realizing, oh my God, this is important. It's always been important. Just like putting the right judges in place has always been important. Putting the best or the right school board member or school board leaders in place because those are the people that select the curriculum for your child. It's important. And if they take away contraception like they say, or they're threatening that they will, what they're saying, what is actually going to happen is you will get pregnant and then you have no choice but to keep the baby. And the foster care system is already saturated. So people, please get out and vote. It's important.
It is.
Ali, it's been a really good conversation. And
thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it. Time went by fast, but would love to come back after I'm elected to have future conversations, because I think it's through the power of educating voters, even between the voting cycles, so that we don't end up in this situation every voter cycle that we go through, or every election cycle.
When you said that part about I'd love to come back, I don't know if you saw the expression on my face. I am daring you, because I'm telling you, we will keep you accountable. And I'm really, really good about that. Keeping people accountable for certain things that they've said or things they've said. I appreciate having you here. I appreciate having you on not just this talk show, but also in the People's Chat Room, because education is important. You go out and you win. Okay.
Thank you. Keep us lifted in prayer. Please go out and vote, folks. You got the rest of the day till 8 o'clock. And you got till 7 o'clock on Tuesday. Make sure your voice is heard. Lima, thanks so much for having this forum for others to come on like myself to be able to share. And I look forward to you holding me accountable. Like I said, I don't like to overpromise and underdeliver. What I will promise you is I'm going to work my hardest to make sure we get things done.
We appreciate you. You take care. God bless. And we will see you in Tallahassee.
Take care.
Take care. Mr. Ali Braswell, guys, Democratic candidate for Florida House District 45. You can go out and go to his website, braswellforflorida.com, and please get out and vote. Remember, you have until 8 o'clock today, which is Sunday, and you have until 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Get out and vote, 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 vote. And if you know someone that doesn't have a ride, take them to vote. Val Branch Duncan, realtor with North Star First Properties. Whether it's buying or selling, Val can help, and she is certified to assist you in Jamaica, Grenada, Guyana, Barbados, Bahamas, and Trinidad and Tobago. Please call Val Branch Duncan, where V stands for valuable, A, attentive, L, loyal. Please give her a call at 321-303-9345 or 407-844-8622. This is Caribbean Straight Talk. Lima Dunbar encouraging you to get out and vote, vote, vote. If you know someone that does not have a ride to the polls, take them, okay? Get out and vote, because our lives, our democracy is depending on you. iTunes Entertainment Magazine, where the focus is to bring information and entertainment wrapped in a little something extra that is pertinent and relative to all of us, regardless of culture. Our features aim at catering somewhat to the curiosity in all of us, whether it be business, entertainment, health and wellness, immigration, our youth, and more. So please visit our website at www.itunesentertainmentmagazine.com or itunesentmagazine.com. Also inviting you to check us out on IG and Twitter at iTunesEntMag. Zep Bolai Lawrence, Realtor and Property Stager with a lake known as Fuchsia Lay Realty Group. You can give her a call at 321-689-3467. Send a fax at 321-445-6054. Email zepbl9@gmail.com. Once again, Zep Bolai Lawrence for all your realtor and property staging needs.